What up, Suns fans? Suns finally get their blowout win, winning by 24 points against the Brooklyn Nets. Final score, Phoenix Suns 108 to the Brooklyn Nets 84. There is not that much to talk about today. I feel like this is a pretty simple game, but there's still some interesting stuff that has happened recently that should be talked about. What a simple game. As weird as of tonight was for the Suns and struggling to get this win against the Brooklyn Nets. Honestly, that first half, we could just skip over that first half right quick. That was such the most boringest part of basketball I've seen. And also kind of embarrassing because the Suns couldn't pull away. The Nets already have been missing like half of their roster for tonight. So the fact that we were looking like we could barely get any separation against the Nets team was kind of embarrassing. But eventually they did pull away in the fourth. And I think this game just actually became more interesting when I forget what happened, but it looks like something happened between Clowney from the Brooklyn Nets and Nick Richards of Phoenix Suns, and that apparently ignited some fight between both of these teams. And I'll be honest, the game looked way more interesting after that. Both teams just became more competitive in the second half, and it saved this game. It's been a weird couple of days for the Suns here as the Suns get blown out by 26 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thinking it's over. I was dooming a lot, I'll be honest there, and that led to today where we blow someone else out by 24. So it's really kind of a weird back-to-back game when you look at it that way. But also, it's been just an interesting last couple of 48 hours. I'll just jump right into it because I don't have much to say about this game. I'll go over this game real quick. Booker gets 32 points. Great, nice. 6 assists, 2 rebounds. Kevin Durant gets his 24 points, remaining a great efficient scorer, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Outside of that, not much of the team. My biggest complaint about tonight is that the boys just look cold out there. It's frustrating to see this team come out a little cold. I hope to God that some of these players on our bench, and I'll name names, Royce O'Neal, they need to start shooting more. They need to get their practice shots up because the amount of missed layups and threes recently, the missed threes is more of a Royce O'Neal problem. As this game, he was 1 of 9 from the field. I really hope he's working on that shot. And just for the rest of the team, layups, get that in check. But other than that, just a pretty cold night. We still got the blowout, so whatever. There's not much else I want to mention outside of those guys. I could touch on Nick Richards for a second here, who has gone back to being a great center for the Suns. And I think it's kind of leveled out. And we're now starting to realize what he really is on this team, as he put up 8 points, 15 rebounds, and I believe 2 rebounds off of his career high 17. So, now we're really starting to see Nick Richards' role here, and it's rebounding and remaining a defensive presence in the paint, as I think it's really great having another 7-foot guy in the paint. But the one hinge to Nick Richards, as it's starting to look like, is his defensive IQ, which is something that Hornets fans tried warning us about, as he had 3 fouls, the most out of everyone on this team during the entire game. And he's not a shot blocker. He's definitely not that. He has athleticism to do so, but the way he chooses to defend is really not the greatest. He makes pretty poor decisions on all his defensive blocks. So that's the one minus about Nick Richards, but he's filling in his spot pretty well. I'll take it, especially when tonight the Suns were getting outpaced once again in rebounds. All you really need to do is hustle and you'll give the Suns a run for their money. But also we were saved by the Nets just shooting terribly. They shot 19% from 3. Wow. That's really bad. They also had 17 turnovers to the Suns' 11 turnovers. So, really just a practice game, if anything. And I hope the boys just practice some of their shots. And this is another building block towards becoming a better team altogether. So it's always great getting more experience about that. But that's really all I have about this game. There's not much else to say about this game other than to now go on to some other news. So the Suns made a trade recently, and it was was a puzzling one. It was quite a simple one as well, as the Suns have traded our 2031st first round pick to the Utah Jazz in return for 3 first round picks in return. That's it. No players were included, nothing else. And well, it's definitely an interesting trade. From my point of view, it's kind of a slap in the face. It's really funny because on the Cleveland game, when I made my episode, I was talking about where the Suns are going to go after this, because it's clear that they can't compete with some of the bigger, more strong teams, more powerful teams in the league. Like Cleveland is one of the best teams in the league right now, record wise, and the Suns got blown out by them. So they clearly can't contend. That was the message being sent by that game. So I was questioning where the Suns are going to go into the future, whether they should lean in more into this all-in mentality, bringing more stars to the deserts to try to continue to contend for the next couple of years. And I was getting a little dooming about the whole Suns situation because, honestly, it didn't look great because these last couple of games, we've been in and out of the elimination categories. It's been reasonable to assume that the Suns haven't been showing much success, and they haven't, as much as we were promised by everyone here as championship contenders, as the big three have promised. Boy, was I wrong. Okay, so that's all to say that where the Suns are going to go next is go even more all in, and which honestly, I should have expected this result. So, technically nothing has really happened as of yet, but the fact that they're trading their coveted pick, which I've been told that pick has been pretty valuable for the Suns' future. It's also kind of a nice move to get more draft capital for this team, as previously, after completing the Nick Richards trade, the Suns were only left with 2 picks, that 2031st first round pick that I already mentioned, and then we have a second round pick. I have the 2025 second round pick from Denver. All right, that's the only 2 draft assets the Suns have. At least that was until last night, when the Suns made their trade. So now we have that second round, and now we have 3 first rounds. Great. And I think it's pretty clear where the Suns going with this. Are they going to keep those drafts? Absolutely not. I don't think so. This Suns team is just really aggressive, and they've been doubling down on all their efforts. So why not double down even harder, as that move basically solidifies that the Suns are just going to go out and make a bigger trade with those draft. So technically right now, all of it is rumors right now on what could happen to the Phoenix Suns. I've already commented and made my remarks on Jimmy Butler to the Suns, which has been a hot topic in recent days, and it's been kind of going into the, is it happening, is it not happening, it's happening now but it's not happening now. It's been kind of stuck in that limbo forever, and it looks like it's really heating up now. I've made my statement from afar that I wouldn't really want this Suns team to make a trade, because we'd be already screwing up the future enough. We'd be using the rest of our remaining trade assets and draft capital to basically get only slightly better, as this big 3 situation was not working. I still believed in the big 3. It's a little more tougher looking now in the future. That was all before we moved Bill to the bench, which this is a very confusing era of Suns basketball, because technically the Suns have been doing pretty good over the last couple of games. They are now 7-3 in their last 10 games. The Suns are going in an upward trend. Granted, this has been a lot against some bad teams that the Suns have been playing, and whether or not Bradley Beal has gone to the bench has affected that, it's questionable. It looked like it worked for 1 game, maybe 2 games, but then Beal just kind of slowly faded into just like a 10-point averaging bench player. And we even lost some games, and Cleveland, which is probably the biggest test that proves that even with Beal to the bench, it still doesn't make the Suns a competitive team. So I could see why most people are already out the door on this Beal stuff. So it's hard to say on what's going to happen to Beal at this point. But me personally, speaking on this, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Jimmy Butler. I wouldn't mind Jimmy Butler being on the Suns. It does make a better cohesive lineup. So I have now switched over from against the Beal trade to now being pro Jimmy. So that is where I officially stand on the Jimmy trade. Bring him here. Bring him to Phoenix. It already looks like it's close to being done. It's really hard to say again because there's rumors today saying that like Beal's agent saying all these rumors are fake, and the Bucks, who were rumored to have want to facilitate this trade, are now pulling out, or they never had any interest in Bradley Beal. So the saga continues. The Suns making that draft pick trade, I think it definitely helps them in a lot more ways to get off of Beal contract and Nurkic contract. I mean, not only would this bring Jimmy Butler to the Phoenix Suns, but like it would also help us get off of Bradley Beal's insanely stupid contract. 50 mil. Like, the guy is a great person, but he is not worthy of 50 mil. And I don't think anyone was questioning that in the first place. So whatever happens next is going to be very interesting for the Suns. Outside of the Jimmy Butler trade rumors, not much for the Suns, really. I mean, the Suns really have some negative assets. It's just weird times where we're so close to having something new, but like still kept in the dark. We really don't know where this could go. So it's just going to be interesting. I think everyone is hyping it up to this week being an interesting climax for this whole storyline, and I'm interested to see where it goes. This could potentially be league altering here, this kind of trade, as like even more speculation about it is that they're saying like up to 4 teams could be involved in this trade. Crazy stuff. But that's really all I could really say about that. I really wonder what your guys' opinions of this whole Jimmy Butler to Phoenix Suns saga is. So if you have anything to say about it, please leave it down in the comments. I'm interested in reading those. The Suns are a mixed team right now, and they need a lot of answers, and there's just not that many answers for the Suns to get. That will be all for me. This one was a pretty quick one. I just wanted to get this out there. The Suns are now 22-21, one game over the 500 mark, and they are now in the 10th seed. Hey, if you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe. So thank you all for your continued support, and we will see you next Suns game time. All right, that's all for me, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.